Hi, this is Suchona, and today I'm going to talk to you about the few cottage-core cozy fantasy books that I read recently. And this is the most favorite video I have shot so far, and I because I'm really excited to talk about them. And like autumn is my favorite season of the year, and this is really witchy kind of vibe, and I think you will like this books. So the first book in this series is A Very Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney, and this is the book. I read this book and I thought I have to make a video about this book and this witchy vibe, and I have to talk about this because I love this kind of books and I want everyone to read them. So yeah. The first book is A Very Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney, and this is her debut novel. I got to read this book because I requested this book on NetGalley, and they approved it, and I got to read it. And when I was reading the book, I did not have much expectation because, as I said, this is debut novel. But then I read this book and it completely changed everything, because since then I have read like countless amount of witchy books and downloaded them and bought books, and some I have yet not read. Whatever, let's talk about the book. I'm talking too much. So the plot is the main protagonist is a hedge witch. She lives in this small town with her coven, and she lost her mother last year, and she's approaching her 31st birthday. And prior to that, she starts having these dreams or these nightmares, and they're very vivid, and they leaves her tired and exhausted, and she starts getting these vibes and their secrets and curses, and we explore all of that through the story. But more than the story, what I love, that I mean, the story is excellent, beautiful, really really cozy, but more than that, what I loved is the girl is the middle child. She lives on her own. She runs a shop. She produces her own food. She grows the vegetables. She cooks her own meal. She crochets. She spends time with her cat and reads books. And she's very mindful. She does things because and she's very intentional, and she's very loving, and she writes in her journal her to-do list, and does those things throughout her day. And that's really 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 beautiful, because that's very rare, and I love that about I love that. Like, this is really cozy and warm and really really, like, it made me want to live that simple life. If you are someone who enjoys watching, I don't know, witchy things, if you enjoy watching the cottage core slow living kind of contents on YouTube, you will definitely love this book. Like, this is really perfectly executed, and I give it a 5 out of 5 star, and I so love this book. Like, this is the best thing. And I also forget to mention, in the first book, there is also a love interest or a love subplot line, and this remains subplot, and this never takes the frontal, at least to me, it never takes the frontal stage, and I love that, because I felt like this is my hopes and dreams, and I mean, it felt like my girlhood in my late 20s, and would be my early 30s or 30s and 40s. Like, this is girlhood, living in my room, living alone, cooking and being mindful and doing all these things and slow living. So I really love that, and the love story is also very beautiful, and it never overshadows the main story, so that is perfect. And now the second book. The second book is A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sango Mandana. I really love this book. I mean, I started reading this book because I read the first book and I thought I have to read more books like this. And so I downloaded it. In this book, there is also a curse. And for that curse, when witches give birth to witches, uh, the parents die. And so the witches grow up alone and orphaned, and so does our main character. Our main character is called Micah Moon, and or Mika Moon, and she lives alone and she grows up alone. And then one day she goes to teach these three kids in a secluded place. I mean, they live in a secluded area and in this house called Nowhere House. And when she meets those kids, and there are other members in the, well, I mean, other people in that house who are not family, like someone is caretaker, someone is cook, someone is this librarian, and they are taking care of these kids. And so she goes there, and it's like her journey, like meeting new people and how those people change her or change her outlook. And I am a firm believer that when you meet someone, you actually change, because if that person is your friend or someone close to you or anything, someone to have impacted you means that you are changed because you met them, you are changed because you have formed a bond with them. So uh, I really loved this book. I gave it a 4 star, and I'll tell you why. But what I loved about this book was that it shows us that she grew up alone and she grew up among nannies, and people have exploited her throughout her life. And she grew up with this thick skin. She accepted that she's never going to have love. And by love, I do not mean that romantic love. By love, that I mean just any kind of love. She has never experienced the love of a family, love of parents, uh, and she has accepted defeat, like she will never experience love, or she'll never have who will accept her. And she grew up feeling different because she is this witch who learned about her magic on her own, learned to control it on her own, always feeling really different in her body and different in the society. So when she meets those kids, and those kids are witches, which is really different, because which and weird, because in this world witches don't live together. So this is really different, and she has to learn how to cope with that. And she learns to love herself. And this book also talks about how changing any aspect of the world seems really big, but what it really is that when you change the small things, it pile up. All of this pile up, and then one day the world changes. Like, I contribute something, someone else will contribute something good. But if we think that, oh, changing this small thing will do nothing, then nothing will change, right? We have to contribute our part, and we also have to be kind to ourselves. And this is really, really, really beautiful, and I loved this so, so much. The reason I did not give it a 5 out of 5 star is really silly, because I do not have any problem with smarts. But in this book, there is one intimate scene between the main character and this guy who, I mean, you will know when you read this book. And I thought this was unnecessary. Like, this book was really soft and warm and kind, and this would have been age appropriate to any gender. Even though the main character is 30, I mean, near 30 years old or something like that. But then there is intimate scene, and I thought the book would have been perfect without that scene. So it didn't serve any purpose, and it wasn't even that steamy. It was just there, and I thought, why? So that was that. The third book, I forgot the name, because the third book is actually two books. It's a book series. It is a graphic novel, The Witch and let me give me 1 minute. The first book is Garlic and the Vampire, and the second book is Garlic and the Witch. And I got to know about this book through Google, because I was searching witchy cottagecore books, and this was on the list. So I read them, and I really loved the books. I gave the first book 4 star and the second book 5 star. And let me tell you the plot first. So this is a farm. Okay, this is a farm, and a witch grows all these vegetables, but there are also vegetables who are growing vegetables under her. And these vegetables were I mean, this is really complicated, but like, there are vegetables who are farmers, and there's this witch who is farmers. But through their journey, in the first book, they discovered that there is this vampire who lives, and they're really scared because what happens if the vampire kills them? So this garlic, which is who is also a farmer, she goes to hunt this vampire because she's garlic. So the first book is very, very, very sweet, and then the second book is Garlic and the Witch. This is like perfection. This is really perfect. The first book was nice, but the second book is really beautiful. Like the how the garlic becomes witch. This is Garlic's adventure to find herself. In the first book, she starts and goes to find this vampire, and in the second book she goes to find herself, and through her journey how she comes to term with who she is, how she becomes witch, and the history of why the farmers are vegetables and all this are explored in the second book. And I really love this book, and this is about self expectation, our relationship with ourselves, our really insecurities, and I think you would love this book. Like, you would really love this book. So the last book in this list is Potions and Proposal by Kate Callahan, and I also got to read this book through Nate Kelly because I read the first book again, and I then thought, okay, I should request more books with witchy vibes and cottagecore and potion making and cooking and being ourselves and that kind of thing. So I requested this book, Potions and Proposals, and sadly, this book was not as great. This had potential. The premise was really interesting. There are two witches in this town, again small town, and again there is this what Halloween is coming, and there are festivals coming in this village. So there is festive vibe going on. There are like two witch houses. One used to practice dark magic, and one is like embodiment of lightness, goodness, and so cliche thing, but like, the world building was sweet, soft, and really beautiful and magical and witchy and interesting, and it started very fun way. But then it got really, I don't know, it just fell apart because the romance was the main point of this book, and I did not enjoy that as much, because I have no problem with romance being the main focus of the book. The problem was the romance was not executed really well, and it felt really not well done, and it felt like they did something to make them fall in love, and it just, they were enemies in the beginning, like these two witches, guy and girl, but then they fell in love, and there is not, I mean, why did they fall in love? If the falling in love was that easy, why were they enemies for this long? And they have known each other for like all their lives because they live in this town. So it felt really stupid to me, and it felt like she did not know how to create the conflict and how to resolve it in a really good way, and in a way that makes it enjoyable and beautiful, and not make us think that any one of them is an a-hole. So they just did what made us believe they are enemies, when I did not understand why they were enemies, and I did not understand if they were enemies, why they fall in love. I know I am repeating myself, but yeah, I think the world building was nice and there were potential, but it fell apart. I give it a 3 star. Yeah. So these are the books that I read recently. There are other books that I read which are witchy and magical, but those can be also categorized into, I don't know, academia or that kind of thing. So I might make a video about that separately, because I talk a lot and my videos get long. So yeah, hope you read the books and love them, especially read the first book and read the graphic novels, please, because those are really, 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 really nice and really beautiful and really warm and cozy. And like, if you love autumn and cozy aspect of it, and like, oof, you will love them. Okay, bye bye. Happy autumn.